to start this evening off by saying thank you to all the participants this year. We had another successful tournament again this year, and the success really is on raising the awareness for all of our veterans within the state. I want to specifically give some thanks to a few companies that really helped in support of the tournament this year. Mac Molding was our title sponsor this year. They deserve a round of applause. Also, the Southern Vermont Health Center was another one of our lead sponsors this year. Again, I want to thank all of them. And definitely, last but not least by any means, is VFW Post in Manchester. They were our lead sponsor as well this year. Again, another outstanding group of people here. I want to really thank all of you. Being a veteran myself, I appreciate the support you guys are showing for all of our veterans. We definitely want to continue that support. They've made a lot of sacrifices for us, and I really want to thank Gideon for being here today. We're all honored to have you in our presence today, and I thank you, Gideon. With that, one last thank you, and that's to the ladies who are performing for us, the USO. They're in there, resting. But with that, yeah, they're hiding. Oh well. And also with that, I want to turn it over to Don. Don has been the past chairperson for this tournament, and I appreciate everything he's done in the past, and I can only hope that I can live up to the standards that he set for this tournament. And again, thank you, Don, and again.
Thank you, Tom, and again, welcome to all of you to the 5th annual Vermont Wounded Warrior Combat Veteran Golf Tournament and banquet. For the 5th year running, we had some gorgeous weather, and thank goodness for the golf course, it was in great shape. What I'd like to do now is to introduce our honored guest, and that is our combat veterans and wounded warriors. And Roger, would you have him come in?
I don't think
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today and allowing us to share, and thank you for the service you've given to our country. Thank you. While we still have you standing up here, let me also express a thank you to the lady, the sculptress, who did that beautiful Patriot horse, Rita D., standing over there by the ball. Once again, it's a major attraction to our event, and it's the 5th year in which we've had it, and at the same time, many of those horses now are on display down in Manchester at a beautiful show that Rita is doing. I also would like to introduce to all of you, if you haven't met them already, especially the golfers I know have, and that is our USO troop, Gabby Harkin, Emily Claire Hughes, Monica Hannafy, and Emily Gorglia. It's hard to believe that these ladies were up at 4 this morning, left New York City at 6, and was up here at around 10:30 to be part of our tournament today. One of them, I think it's, I may be wrong, it could be Gabby. 2 days ago was with our U.S. forces in Japan and came back here. Emily, I'm sorry, Emily. Another special guest, and I'll be saying more about him in a few more minutes, after dinner, and that is standing right next to me here, is Major General Stephen Cray, the Vermont Adjutant General, and our keynote speaker tonight. One more. If you played golf today, you heard me make a few comments about this individual. He served in World War II at 3 of the most infamous islands the Marines were involved in. Today, this evening, I'd like to introduce once again our U.S. Marine, Gideon LaCroix from Arlington, Vermont, 94 years old. Gideon. If you weren't here earlier today, Gideon carried the national colors to the flagpole. Thank you all, and at this point, if you can all sit down for a moment. At this time, I would like to, a little bit rowdy in that back room there. Because this is a semi-military event, we cannot have dinner until we have our benediction. And now I'm going to introduce Arthur J. O'Day from Arlington, who's going to deliver the benediction.
The words that have been written on paved walls show up on posters, show up on columns, appear everywhere. Love one another. We all know that command from God. It goes back the very beginning, even before we were looking upward at God, we were writing on the walls and discovering among ourselves and our communities, love one another. Then, in our communities, we discovered that we need warriors. Because the way we are with each other, the way we are as communities, we need protection. We declare war on each other. We have fights, we have lawsuits, we have neighbor disputes. And then nations form and the nations go to war with each other and they have their conquests. And for all of that to happen, we need warriors. So the second slogan that appears on the walls, in addition to love one another, is no greater love has any man, that he would lay down his life for his fellow man. Those words are with us constantly. And it's moments like this, when we have a celebration like this, that I actually heard them ringing in the clouds. It was my privilege to play in a foursome for the second time, too, with a recipient of the Purple Heart. A man who, 38 years ago, when I moved to Vermont with my family to find a new life, he sustained his wounds in Vietnam, Agent Orange, and other wounds. Received a Purple Heart. And we played together on a golf course. And what a privilege it was to sit with that man, to watch him play golf. And what a lesson it was. You know, we always are taught and we try to achieve, not talking about ourselves, not bragging, try to reach out to other people. The only way I could find out anything about this man or his injuries, or what his life has been like, or where he lives now, or what it's like with children and various things that have been going on for his 40 years, I had to ask him, and then I would get an answer. Nothing initiated from him. Even his circumstances. One that I'd like to share with you because it's part of my prayer, it's part of our benediction. He lives in the Carolinas, I think South Carolina. In that state, disabled American veterans, they don't pay any real estate taxes. They don't pay any automobile registration fees. They don't pay any state income taxes. Our wounded warriors, traditionally, certainly since my childhood, have always been in battle gray, or in Air Force blue, or a National Guardsman. They're warriors who have walked through the jungles and gotten down into the caves, run up the beaches and up the hills. It's different now. There's a new world war going on. We all know it. It's called terrorism. And the battle stations are different. Now we need warriors in our school cars, at the entrance gates to our campuses. We need them in our cathedrals, in our stadiums, in the public parks, at cookouts. We need them on our planes and on our trains and on our subways. And some of them we criticize and we get impatient with them. They don't look anywhere near as sharp as our military men used to look, and shape and with their uniforms and their colors and their brass. But these people are doing the same thing. They're helping us love one another. They are laying down their lives for us. We know it from recent television reports, the tragedies. Right here in America, right down in our own southern states and in our western states. Our soldiers laid out on the streets have been shot by snipers. Or our soldiers brought into public disgrace and accused of, excessive force for violation of constitutional rights and freedoms. And I don't mean to carry any kind of a brief on this. I just want to share with you that these new battle stations, these new warriors are what we're here to celebrate today. They need our love. They need our return. When we're diverted at an intersection and this crossing guard is there, you know, he sometimes doesn't look at all like an Army officer, or certainly not like a Marine officer. But why not wave to him? Why not give him a smile, a warm hello? Because if someone appears with a rifle or a gun, or something that sounds like a rifle or a gun, she or he is the one that runs after that person. She or he is the one that stands in front of me and in front of you. And they're doing it weekend after weekend right here in America. They're standing up in front of the citizens and taking the bullets and taking the abuse and taking the hurt and the hit. And they're being inflicted wounds that will be lifetime wounds for them, just like my friend in the golf cart this afternoon. Many of these people for 40 years may not be able to get a job. May be mentally in a mental state that disenables them from any kind of gainful employment. And these are wounds too. These are wounds to them and to their families. Think of the children in America right now, orphaned children whose mothers and fathers have been laid out on the streets by a sniper or by a person with a bomb strapped around his waist. We do want to realize before the Almighty God the need for our warriors, the sanctity of our warriors, the calling for a 13-year-old man or boy or woman to say, I'm going to be a police officer. I'm going to be a Marine. I want to be in the Air Force. You want to learn how to pilot, I forget what they call them now, helicopters that fly by themselves. I'd like to be one of those 5 people that's up all night, you know, just looking out into the universe for weapons and for defense and for protection, learning a whole new language and a whole way of interacting with other people, discovering what you have to know in order to protect our computers and our commerce and all of our society. These people, these children who feel that calling, are no different than Gideon when he felt his calling. As what, a 16 or 18-year-old got on the bus and showed up and signed up, and here he is today. Right? There are other children just like Gideon today who feel that same calling and are maybe computer geeks, or maybe they're not going out for sports, maybe there's other things they're doing because they're so wrapped up in this idea of being a warrior, a today warrior. And I'm sorry for being so long about it, because this is just a blessing. This is just an invocation. And my prayer to God, that I hope you will join with me in submitting, is for His protection for all of our warriors. But more than that, for peace. That these warriors will someday no longer be needed. And that the use of these warriors will be in a peaceful pursuit. The eventual success of love one another. The eventual reality that being willing to lay down your life for your fellow man no longer is required that happens. And this is our prayer as we prepare for the celebration today. Thank you.
in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to read off a list of names, and maybe some of you are still here who may have been lucky enough to win a prize from the raffle board. The awards will be either handed out over here to my right, or the prizes will be at Garlic John's restaurant if you know someone who won, but they're not here tonight. So here are the winners. John and Judy Scipione, Frank Shattuck, Elisa, Bob, Tom and John Bradley, Magic, Dave Madison, Greg Volley, Colin Keelan, Todd, R. Schwartz, Peter Keelan. Sounds like a little bit of nepotism here, but Rob Nyland, Ray and John Horwitz, Glenn, Rick McNulty, Frank Torella, Joe Milot, and R. Schwartz. And I want to thank all of you for taking the opportunity and donating to the raffle board. It's a big part of the Wounded Warrior program.
Can I give you something?
Yeah.
I'm going to check for you. Just say quickly. To the microphone. Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Bradley, and I grew up. Everybody knew me as Pat's brother, but now you know me as Keegan's uncle. My sister Pat, 12th Woman in the Hall of Fame, would like to donate $500 to the Vermont Wounded Warriors Foundation. Thank you. Also, I'm flying down tomorrow to Camp Lejeune, the Death Star. My son is deploying in 2 weeks. He's a SARC, Special Amphibious Recon Corpsman, with the 3rd Marine Raiders. And I'm going to send him off. Thank you.
My name is Dave Lawrence, and I'd like to match that $500, and I'd like to get somebody else to match mine.
Thank you. I'm glad they didn't close the fundraising. God.
And I'll match that.
Ladies and gentlemen, at each of our events, we try to bring to you a speaker who will represent the values of Vermont and the Vermont Wounded Warriors and combat veterans. Tonight, I am privileged and honored to invite and have with us the Adjutant General of the Vermont National Guard and the Adjutant General of Vermont, Major General Stephen Craig. General Craig serves as the senior uniform officer in the state and is responsible for training and the equipping of over 4,000 members of the Vermont Army and Air National Guard. He serves as the head of the state military department, including Veterans Affairs, and is responsible for a combined state and federal budget of over $210 million. General Craig began his military career about 32 years ago when he became a second lieutenant. Today, he's a two-star general, and he and his staff have asked me not to read all of his awards, all of the education, and all of his accomplishments. So being a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps, I have to yield to a two-star general and his staff. I'd like to invite up here now the Adjutant General of the state of Vermont to say a few words to us. General Craig.
Thank you, Don. Is this wireless? Can I just take this out of here and do this?
Yes.
I'm not really good behind the podium. Another $500, I think, going on here. That's awesome. Can you hear me in the back? Is it going? Okay, cool. So I'll keep it short. I know it's been a long day. First of all, I just want to say that I am absolutely honored to be here tonight to represent not only the 4,000 men and women of the Vermont Army and Air National Guard, but all the veterans. As a senior uniformed person in the state of Vermont, I get the chance and the privilege to represent all of the veterans in the state of Vermont. And Vermont is a very special place, as you know, and even as a veteran, and we don't have any large active duty bases or anything like that in the state of Vermont. What we do have is exactly what you're seeing here today and is going on tonight, and that is that Vermonters care about their veterans. We have some of the largest per capita veterans actually living in Vermont and who have served. The propensity to serve in Vermont goes back, back to the Revolutionary days, as you all know. So what we enjoy today as military members serving in the United States Army and all of the Air Force and all the other services, not always the case, right? And so we have all of our veterans here tonight from World War II all the way up through Enduring Freedom and everything in between. And it always hasn't been that way for our veterans, especially our Vietnam veterans, as we know. But today we enjoy tremendous support across the state. And to come to an event like this, Manchester Country Club, Vermont Wounded Warriors golf tournament, to raise money. So I've been the Adjutant General almost 4 years. I think you've raised well over $160,000 for Vermont Wounded Warriors. That's impressive. And that doesn't just happen, but what's really special about events like this, I go to a lot of events, what's really special is that this is organized by Vermonters and it supports Vermonters. So all of this is going to the Veterans Home and here down in the local area. So I think that's why you get employers and sponsors like yourselves to turn out, because you know that this is going to help Vermont, and that's what Vermonters do. So thank you very much for what you have done. Thank you go out to the families as well that support what we do. The men and women in uniform today can't do without their families, as we know, without that support. So thank you very much to them. And the National Guard, it's pretty much a three-legged stool, right? It's the employer, which is your civilian employer who supports you, your family, and then your military job. Can't do it without all three. Balance is, goes up and down, as we all know, but with all three of those, it just doesn't work. We had I think we had 30 warriors tonight or today, about 30. 12 of them, I think, are from the National Guard. 8 or 9 of them Purple Heart recipients. So, pretty incredible. At the table that I was sitting with here tonight, you have sort of the two generations, right? Corporal LaCroix here, who has been recognized a number of times already for your service, sir. And we have right next to a Lance Corporal Jackson, who just came back from a deployment as well. So you've got both sides serving here in Vermont. Incredible. And both Marines. So as an Air Force officer, I am absolutely outgunned in this room, and I know. So I gotta really be careful. I didn't even know there were so many Marines in Vermont. I had no idea. And that's awesome, right? And that is just awesome. What I wanted to say though about, you know, everybody knows how incredible this generation was and is, and has served and made this country great, right? You know, I have the opportunity though to meet a lot of the young men and women that are joining the service today. And I will tell you that they are different, but they are no less professional and dedicated to serving their country and serving their state today. So we have some incredible young men and women today who are raising their hands and swearing to defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Vermont and the National Guard. And so we are incredibly proud of everyone's service, including this generation. They just do an incredible job on behalf of all of us. The National Guard has some really incredible people doing a lot of great things too. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Major Zach Fight. Most of you know he's been a big part of organizing this. What I'm really concerned about though here is at the top of this, he's tied to this foreship here at the top, you know. I pay you to recruit. I do not pay you to golf. So we got to talk about this afterwards. But Ranger. So you all know about Purple Hearts United and Reunited and what he has done. Incredible. If you don't know, he was just recently recognized Military Times U.S. Army Soldier of the Year. Right there. That is absolutely amazing. So I had the privilege and the honor to go down to Washington, D.C. to see Zach get this award, right? And so they recognized an outstanding person from each one of the services. I'm biased, I got it. He's in the Vermont Army National Guard. But when they went through each of the stories and they told you what they have done, not only to serve their country, but what they have done on the outside, this kind of a community piece of this thing, every one of them in their outright are incredible Americans. Zach Fight stands out. What he has done with Purple Hearts Reunited to make unbelievable changes in the lives of some of these folks across for the number of years he's been doing it is absolutely amazing. And those are the kind of people that are serving in your military today. We've got to really be proud of them. Yeah. So just really quickly about your Vermont National Guard, if you don't know, so I'm the Adjutant General. I have the honor and privilege to represent nearly 4,000 of them, about 1,100 in the Air National Guard. They fly F-16s right now. They're going to be the first. These are kind of Vermont National Guard people that you have serving in your state. They're going to be the first operational F-35 base for the Air National Guard in the entire country, Burlington, Vermont. That's pretty cool. We've got about 3,000 Army National Guard, handpicked by the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark Milley, just last year, to be one of the test pilots to join with the 10th Mountain, which we have done already, join with 10th Mountain to be part of a new organization combining active duty and Army. They chose Vermont. They chose the 86th IBCT Mountain Brigade to do it. Those are the kind of people you have serving in Vermont. Pretty incredible. Absolutely incredible. We're the same people that responded to Tropical Storm Irene in 2011. They're the same ones that when the governor calls me in the middle of the night and says, you need sandbags and anywhere across Vermont, these are the young men and women that you're going to call on and that are going to support you in the state. And they all do it, and they all balance it with their civilian lives, with their employers. Many of them work for you. They all balance it with their families, and they sacrifice weekends and everything just to serve. And I talk a lot about service with our men and women in the Vermont National Guard, and I tell them, and I believe it, and I think they do too, that serving your country or in any capacity, but service to your country or your state is probably one of the most important things, or one of the things that you'll ever do in your lifetime. And so I take it very seriously as one of our core values. I'll finish up with, everybody knows that this weekend is the anniversary of 9/11, 15 years ago. Just anecdotally, what was not mentioned is I'm an American Airlines pilot. I'm on leave from American to do this job. I lost about 24 friends of mine, close friends of mine on 9/11. They were on Flight 11 that hit the second tower at 9:04 on September 11th. You know, it really brings to heart about why this country is so great and why we rallied so quickly to respond to that. And you know, the further we get away from it, the society forgets pretty quickly. Not in this room. You all will never forget it. But society, you know, they forget pretty quickly. And so I ask you to help us and help everybody remember why the military is so important and veterans are so important to our fabric of this country. And when we ask them to stand up the next day and go fight on our behalf for those, you know, 3,000 people that died on that day, you all in this room understand it. And what I fight every day is to make sure that America never forgets it. So thank you to all of the sponsors to make this possible, to make it such a great Vermont event, because that's what this is. You should be really proud of your donations to make this happen. And I think my sponsors actually are not here, but I had the privilege of playing with Don and Nancy, who are the founders of the Mac Molding, I guess, right here in Manchester. She's a ringer, by the way. She is a really good golfer. They all thought that, you know, because I'm a general, like, oh, well, he must be a great golfer. After my first drive, I'm like, well, maybe you're not. Like, all generals are not that good. And I don't think they used one drive or maybe one putt of mine or something. Anyway, but it was great. It was a great day. And I know there's just, you know, all of you had a great day. And thank you so much for inviting me and having the National Guard and all of our veterans participate in something like this. It's really special, and for all veterans in the room. Thank you.
General, on behalf of the Wounded Warrior Committee, I'm going to have Tom Jackson, the chair, present you with the committee's plaque. And thank you for your service and the service of your warriors in protecting all of us. Thank you so much. Okay, John. I'm now going to ask Greg Volley, is he here? Oh, he left. If you enjoyed seeing the USO ladies here today, this is the man to thank.
So my role is a short one, and I promise you it will be short. On your program, I'm going to acknowledge the sponsors that have helped us so well over the years. And on your program, on the page, it says sponsors. Mac Molding was our title sponsor, and Don and Nancy Kendall have been just great for us, and we really, really thank them. And then from the VFW Post, you know, Bill Week, and from the Hospital Association, Tom and Rita D., thank you very, very much. And Mr. Scully, every year, shows up with a substantial donation. I know he's not here, but Bill Scully is a hell of a guy. And I'd like to thank my friends at Pfizer. So that's all I'm going to say. I'll turn it back to Don.
Hold on a minute. Following up on what Greg had mentioned, the Wounded Warrior Committee this year, I'm trying to make a statement, wants to honor one of its key sponsors, and that is the Mac Company. For those of you who are not familiar with the Mack Company, it's located in Arlington, Vermont, and it was established there over 96 years ago. Today, it employs over 2,000 employees in a number of states, and also makes various kinds of products, many of them very sophisticated for the medical field, the automotive field, the electronic field. And I can tell you, as a resident of Arlington, no community could have a better corporate citizen that supports so many nonprofit organizations. Several years ago, at another function, Chip Kendall, who played with the General today, I gather, met me at a function and asked me why isn't Mack the key sponsor of this event. Chip himself is a Navy veteran, and that was last year, and again they stepped right up again and sponsored us this year. Mack has made corporate citizenship a key value, executing on that philosophy by sharing its success through active participation in great causes such as the Wounded Warrior, as well as being a good steward of the environment through its sustainability programs. Chip and Nancy are not here tonight, but I would like to invite John Zook, also of Arlington, and a longtime employee of the company, almost 44 years. John, if you can receive this award on behalf of the company.
This is a photo, John. This is a photo. You're welcome.
You have to make the face that lady. You have to face that lady. John, you have to face it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Before I forget, let me make sure I do thank the Manchester Country Club and that wonderful kitchen staff and golf staff who provided such a wonderful event today. Each year at this event, the Wounded Warrior Committee awards the committee and the Manchester Country Club Veteran Service Award to an individual who has given selfishly of his or her time to the service of Vermont military veterans. This evening I am proud as well as honored to announce that this year's award is being bestowed upon David Zito of Rutland, Vermont. David has a long family history in the military, with his dad a member of that great generation who served in World War II. David is a retired major in the U.S. Army Reserves. He has served on the Wounded Warrior Committee since its inception in 2012. However, his service to our state's veterans predates his service on the committee. In 2007, Dave was the convoy leader of a 22-truck convoy in bringing the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree from Vermont to Washington, D.C. And during that 8-day journey, got the 82 members of the committee safely to the U.S. Capitol, having stopped on the way down to D.C. at 8 United States Veterans hospitals and homes, ending at the Walter Reed Medical Center, where Christmas trees were delivered, as well as gifts, Christmas cards, all handed out to the patients and veterans. That wonderful and historic journey is summarized in this book that David himself produced and published. I'll let Tom pass that around. Closer to home, and solely at his own cost, each year and just before Christmas, Dave would bring the Vermont Veterans Home spectacular Christmas wreaths to be displayed during the Christmas season. His generosity and caring did not end there. Along with the wreaths, Dave personally had caps made and personally handed them out to the veterans of the Veterans Home. And I even have one here. I'm going to ask Tom to pass that out. By the way, Tom Jackson, the chair of the committee, his lovely wife is here this evening. and she is the administrator of the Vermont Veterans Home in Bennington. Again, it didn't stop at the hats. More recently, he had designed and produced a challenge coin that depicts, very much like what we have ourselves. Written on that coin, remembering veterans at Christmas, the Bulldog chapter of the Antique Truck Club of America. One of these challenge coins is given to each resident of the Veterans Home every year. By the way, Dave is the president of the Vermont chapter of the National Bulldog Clubs, which, by the way, was the club that brought our Christmas trees to Washington. Dave retired last year, having had over 40 years of service with the Green Mountain Power Company. Had this event occurred a year sooner than 2012, Dave would not have been here. In August, September 2011, he was a key player in restoring the services and roads throughout Vermont after the devastation of Tropical Storm Irene. David is here this evening with his wife Bunny and their daughter Jennifer. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to honor our Vermont combat and wounded warriors. No one has set the bar as high as Dave has in bestowing honor, respect, and remembrance to our state's veterans. To Major David Zito, the recipient of the Wounded Warriors Committee and the Manchester Country Club's 2000 Veteran Service Award. Dave. I'm going to ask Mike Harden in general.
Most of it was fabricated.
Done.
Come on,
Come
buddy.
on. You're not getting out of it.
Can I say a few words? Tom, thank you.
Before Dave says a few words, let me just mention one thing. Number 2 on this plaque, which stays here at the country club. At the time, Captain Zachariah Fight. Today, it's Major Fight.
Just a few quick words. When I found out this was going to happen, and Jim White was one of the guys that was responsible for this, I said, Jim, I don't deserve this. Have a recount. And Jim said there's nothing to count. He said, I didn't vote, nobody else voted. You're stuck with it. And so I guess I am stuck with it. But just quickly, if you weren't, advised as to what took place in the 2007 U.S. Capitol Christmas Tree Project, it was the second time, in 20 years or so that Vermont had sent a tree down. And we developed a theme of remembering veterans at Christmas, which we thought was a real worthwhile theme. And we still maintain that theme. I mean, as Don pointed out, we try to remember veterans each year at Christmas. And I think there was a phrase, and I don't know, maybe somebody correct me, that the one thing that a veteran, or a soldier fears is not being remembered. And, when you look at Christmas, it's a special time of year. And a lot of these veterans, seniors, that were World War II, Korea, maybe even some older Vietnam folks that were in these homes and hospitals, many of them had to spend Christmas by themselves. And when we rolled in with that convoy of antique Mack trucks and Christmas trees, and they were sitting outside in that cold November weather, bundled up, with blankets sitting there in their wheelchairs, and if you could see the expression on their face when they were being remembered. And whether it was the USS Bennington troop that came along with us, that handed out specialized coffee mugs, or just Christmas cards that were hand-created by Vermont students and handed out to them. It was a real special event for these people, men and women, who served us. And to me, and I know I can speak for Jim and Don and for all the folks that were involved, it was a tremendous community effort. A lot of folks from, the greater Bennington area that were involved with that. And, without question, that was my best Christmas, and it will always be my best Christmas. Just being able to remember these veterans, to let them know that they're not forgotten. And I pass that on to you. You know, every Christmas, if you can, stop by, or at least let these veterans know you still count. You know, we're proud of you. We're proud of what you've done. And to you, you know, veterans, you wounded warriors out there, you warriors, thank you. And I mean, thank you is a simple word, but when it comes from the heart, and when it comes with a lot of meaning, it's probably more precious than gold. And so that is a heartfelt thank you. You know, if you were wounded in combat, hopefully God will continue to watch over you as He has. And regardless, in any event, if you've served this country, thank you, thank you, thank you. And God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, Dave. Two things real quick. First off,
Give it to Jim.
we're blaming Jim for all of this. I'm only the chairman. I didn't vote. One thing I want to point out is the plaque that we just presented to Dave will be here on display at the country club. That stays here at the country club.
If you can't find it, it might be in the ladies' room.
That's a story for a different time. Yeah, you don't want to know. But anyway, but along with that being here, we also present Dave with a plaque with his name on it for him to keep at home, and hopefully he'll never forget us. Words can't say enough how much I've appreciated having Dave on the committee this year, and everybody that's been on the committee. But Dave, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, somebody wants to take the microphone back, but he's not allowed to have it. I'm stealing it from him because I can, but for a reason that not a lot of people know. This year was the first year that this tournament went on without Don Keeling being a key participant. He has done so much for veterans, just as Dave has done so much for veterans. And we appreciate that so much. I couldn't stand up here and give you a bio on Don, other than knowing he takes care of veterans, as all of us here do, and he supports our veterans. And for that reason, I also have a plaque for Don.
Yeah, Don!
And just so everybody's aware, this plaque is for Don and his wife, because we also know how much support she puts in.
She does all the work!
I would never say that in front of Don, that his wife did all the work. However, we thank you and your wife for all your support and for being part of this committee. I walked into doing something that a couple people said, hey, why don't you do this? Wouldn't this be fun? If I had known then, I might have run the other way. However, if it weren't for all the members of the committee that have been there, helped and supported, we wouldn't be where we are today, raising awareness for our veterans and raising money to be able to give back to our veterans. And I also want to thank our entire committee for being here and helping make this year a success. It wasn't me, it was the entire committee. But Don, you've done so much, and I don't think I could ever live up to the expectations others may think that you have already set. But I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the one thing Don definitely did not know, and now he does, Don's name is also going on a plaque that's going to hang here in the country club for his service and his dedication to all of our veterans. Again, thank you, Don.
I'm so proud of receiving this tonight, but even prouder that Burl's name is on it. in the 52 years that we've been married, which will be next week, our anniversary date. When we served on the board of St. Francis Hospital in Poughkeepsie, the many years we served on the board of Hildene here in Manchester, the many years at the Bennington Museum, and now here. Every time we've gotten an award, whether it was Verl or myself, both our names were put on that award. Because I couldn't have done it without her, and she couldn't have done it without me. And thank you all for doing this. I would now like to have the USO ladies once again step up, and they're going to bring us God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home.
Can you imagine they got up at 4 o'clock this morning? Look at that energy here at 8 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to remain standing. We were to have Captain Carl Graves here tonight to play taps. Captain Carl Graves had been here many years for us, but a week ago Tuesday he had his knee replaced and he was unable to make it this afternoon. Standing in for Carl Graves is Neil Freeburn, the Director of the Creative Arts at Burton Academy here in Manchester. Ladies and gentlemen, our taps. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends our official program. The USO will continue to perform for a few more minutes here, and then they'll have to pack up, and I'll have to bring them down to the West Mountain Inn in Arlington. Well, thank you all for being here. A safe trip home, and have a wonderful year.
Thank you all for having us here tonight. We had a wonderful time today. We hope you guys did too. And one last time, we are the USO don't you? From the USA.